Good day, everyone. Welcome to C&T Tutors online class. I am Adedayo, and this session I shall be taking you through a series of questions from the past WAEC examination. That's WAEC 2025. Now on the board we can see the instruction. Choose the options that are opposite in meaning to the underlined words. We have some questions and then we have some words that have been underlined, and our responsibility, our duty now is to actually look for the correct options that actually serve as the opposite or antonyms of these words in question. Now, the first question here says the soldiers had to take a split decision as to whether to advance or dash. The soldiers had to take a split decision whether to advance or dash. Now, let's examine the four options that we have here on the board. Option A says converge. To converge actually means to gather or to assemble. Option B, to surrender, means to actually give up, to give up yourself to a particular cause, or to give up committing your energy to something. And then option C, to retreat, means to turn back from actually pursuing something, or to turn back from embarking on a particular goal or mission. And then option D, abort. To abort means to bring to an end completely, to bring something to an end completely. Now, taking a look at the four options, it is very clear that the best answer that can serve as the opposite of the underlined word advance is retreat. So the answer to question 1 is retreat, option C. Question number 2. I prefer the bustle of city life to the dash of the village. I prefer the bustle of city life to the dash of the village. So the underlined word here, bustle, actually means chaos, lack of peace, a state of confusion, and so on and so forth. So we have to look for the best answer that can serve as the opposite of this particular word. We have option A, tranquility. Tranquility means a state of peace, a state of being calm, as well as serenity. And then option B, atmosphere. Definitely that will not fly. Option C, surroundings, will also not fly. And then option D is basically the same as the underlined word in question. And that leaves us with option A, tranquility, as the most adequate and the most perfect opposite of this particular word. And that takes us to question 3. We need to teach children to be dash, not insolent. We need to teach children to be dash, not insolent. The word insolent means to be impertinent, to be rude, to be disrespectful. And obviously, from what I've just said, it's very clear that the perfect opposite for this word is respectful. So the answer to question 3 is option C. And that takes us to the fourth question for this particular session. We had expected the change of color during the experiment to be dash, but it was imperceptible. The word imperceptible means very difficult to observe, to notice, too small, too minute, too insignificant to actually discover or notice. So when something is imperceptible, it means it is very difficult to observe or to actually spot. So looking at the four options, we have option A, critical. That will not fly because critical has nothing to do with being the opposite of this particular word. And then option B, obvious. When something is obvious, it means it's very clear and discernible. And then option C, baseless. That will also not be a proper answer. And for option D, we have relevant. Relevant means necessary, vital, and so on and so forth. So that will not really be a good answer. So the best answer we can pick here is obvious. When something is imperceptible, it means it cannot be easily seen. But when it is obvious, it means it's very clear to everyone. So the answer here is option B, obvious. And that takes us to question 5. Those who praised the king were rewarded, while those who dashed him were punished. The underlined word here is praised. And we have 4 options, of course. We have option A, mocked. We have option B, hindered, then named and irritated. The best answer we can pick here is option A, because if you are not praising someone, then you are likely mocking that particular person. Though, of course, you can expect to see words like blame. But, of course, the instruction says choose the option that is the most nearly opposite in meaning to the underlined word. So we might not come across some words that we actually envisage. but we usually have a very reasonable answer that can serve as the opposite of the word in question. And in this regard, the word here is mocked. So the answer to this question is mocked as the opposite of the word praised. And this is how far we'll be going for this particular session. Thank you for staying with us. See you later. I remain Adedayo.